Hi, today I'm a little bit further north on the Murray coast and I'm just outside the village of Gamry, or Gardenston as it's now called, and the plan is to walk along the track and do a camp at the Church of the Skulls. And I'll tell you why it's called the Church of the Skulls when we get there. So first things first, let's get my rucksack on and get down the track.
This is the Church of the Skulls, and I would like to tell you the story of its gruesome past. In the year 1004, a group of Danes were heading north for the safety of Viking-held Caithness after fleeing a battle somewhere on the east coast. As they entered the North Sea, they encountered a violent storm and decided to hug the coast whilst heading north. Now, as they sailed down the Murray Firth, they realised they were running short of food and water and needed to go ashore to do some raiding for supplies. They dropped anchor down there in Gamry Bay. A party of around 600 warriors came ashore and headed inland to raid for supplies. But unknown to the Danes, their passage along the Firth had been closely observed and a large army had been gathered under the leadership of the Thane of Buchan. Now, when the Danes tried to return to their longships, they were cut off by Buchan's troops. And not wanting to engage the larger army, the Danes traversed westward, trying to find an alternative route down to the boats, only to find themselves cut off. The Viking warriors chose to take up a defensive position and a standoff ensued. Now, even though Buchan's troops massively outnumbered the Danes, they were not keen to engage the battle-hardened Northmen. Stories of their ferocity were well known to the locals. Eventually, Buchan had to break the standoff. He gathered his troops and proclaimed that if the heathen Danes were slain, he would build a church dedicated to St. John the Evangelist on the site of the battle. And that this battle was now a battle for Christianity. The pep talk seemed to do the job, and the local army jumped into action. First, they rained down rocks from above. Then they took out the dazed invaders at the sword and the axe. When the battle was over, the bodies of the slain enemy were thrown into deep pits that had formed naturally on the hillside, ever to be known as the Bloody Pits. So true to his word, Buchan built a church on the site, and 3 heads of the Viking jarls killed in the battle were set into the alcoves of the church as a constant reminder of the battle. The church became known as the Church of the Skulls. The church was used and modified over the years. In the 1600s it was rebuilt, and in the 1830s it suffered massive damage from a great storm. The decision was made to abandon the church and build a new one nearer to the village, which has grown up over the years. The graveyard continued to be used well into the 20th century, but now it's a derelict. Now, the skulls disappeared for many years, but one reappeared and it's now in the Banff Museum. And the bloody pits were excavated by archaeologists, but they found no human remains. But the story locally was that the remains of the Vikings were pit cleaned by animals. I'm not sure I hold with that. I have a theory. By 1004, most of Sweyn Forkbeard's troops had converted to Christianity. And I think when throwing the bodies into the pits, the locals probably started to see Christian symbols on the bodies and realised that they were not pagans, they were actually Christians. Now, with this discovery, they would have chosen to bury them on Christian burial grounds. And I think that these bodies were probably buried when they were building the church. And this also fits with them taking the skulls into the church. I don't think that they would have put pagan skulls on prominent display within the church. So that is why this is called the Church of the Skulls, and the dips up on the hills are referred to as the Bloody Pits. Now, I hope you enjoyed that snippet of history. As I'm losing the light quickly, I think it's time to go up to the top of the hill, see if I can find a flat spot, and more importantly, see if I can remember how to pitch my winter tent. So let's get to it.
Well, I did remember how to put it up, but I had forgotten how many guy lines this tent's got. But it is my kind of foul weather tent, and I'm right on the edge of a cliff, so I'm probably going to be thankful for the guy lines if the wind gets up. So I haven't put the inner in yet, so I'm going to get my inner in, get my sleep system laid out, and then crack on with some food. So I'll bring you back when I'm making my food. Okay, time to get some food on. What's the time? Let me have a quick look at my phone, tell you what the time is. It's 4:38. Yeah, and it's almost dark. Yeah, winter nights. So tonight, my choice of noodles are not so spicy. Now, in this comment, well, there, a viewer suggested that I don't go for the spicy, I go for the umami, he said, and said to look out for bone broth noodles. And this one is, lucky me, Bulao beef bone broth flavoured instant noodles. So they're quite small packs, I've got a couple of them, not sure whether I'll need them both. And the protein of choice tonight, which might seem a bit weird, but yeah, I am a bit weird, is bacon grill. Now, bacon grill is like spam with liquid smoke added to it, and it's usually kind of fried in a pan and eaten between 2 bits of bread, or grilled, although I've never grilled it, I've always fried it. But tonight I'm just cooking it straight out the tin, slicing it into bits and then letting it warm up in the hot broth. I think that'll taste brilliant, but yeah, that might seem weird to you. So I am gonna slice this up and get some hot water on. I'll bring it back when it's in the bowl and ready to slurp. So the noodles are done, well, they're ready to eat, I should say, and I ended up using both packets, as it's quite a small packet of noodles, and there's not a lot of stuff in the packet. But what I was quite surprised at, there's 3 sachets in there. There's a broth mix, there's some vegetables, and there's some kind of greasy stuff. I don't know how to explain it. It's kind of, I'm not sure if it's oniony or if it's the marrow or something. I think it possibly is bone marrow but nevertheless it kind of felt greasy. It went in anyway. So that's the noodles, and of course now, because I've got 2 packs in there, there's quite a lot. I've got some decent chunks of bacon grill in there, and I'll just taste the broth. Oh, that's nice. That's very beefy, and it's got a kind of, it smacks your chops. It's got a greasiness, which, yeah, it doesn't sound very appetizing, but it definitely tastes like bone marrow. Yeah, actually that is definitely a bone broth. So that's very nice, and they're very thin noodles. They're the kind of lighter noodles, and I think the bacon grill will work great in there. So I'm going to spare you watching me slurp it down, but I will report back once I've eaten it. So I shall away and scoff my tea. So that's the noodles done. Now what do I think of lucky me bone broth noodles? Well, I'm not actually sure. They've certainly got a funk going on. They've definitely got that umami smack to them, and they've got some flavours in there that I wasn't expecting. But they're so different to what I'm used to. I really miss the chili hit. But, you know, if you're looking for an authentic bone broth, I think they're pretty much it. Do I like them? Well, I don't dislike them, but I'm a little bit unsure whether I will eat them again. But I'm definitely going to try them one more time, and I'll make my mind up then. But at the moment, they're an undecided. But I guess if you like bone broth, you'll like these. Now, for pudding, I've got petrol station cakes. What are they? Almond fingers. And I couldn't get a smaller pack, so I guess I'm going to have to eat them all myself. I think I'll probably save some for breakfast. And I've got a big mug of char, so a cup of tea and some cakes, and I'm going to chill out. And, well, I was going to say watch the sun go down, but the sun's pretty much down now. But I can see all the lights of the village over there, and I think I'm just going to chill out, drink my tea, and I think I'll probably bring you back when I'm getting in the tent and getting hunkered down. But until then, I'm going to just have a brew. So I'll see you in a bit.
Okay, well that's just before 10 o'clock. It's pitch black outside and absolutely silent. In fact, the noise you can hear behind me is the sea breaking on the shore at Gardenston, and I never noticed it earlier on tonight, but now it's kind of silent and dark. It seems quite loud, but it's not a nice sound. It's quite a soothing sound, so I think I'll sleep well tonight. I'm going to, before I do, I'm going to do as I always do, is listen to an audio book. I'm listening to, what's it called, A Song for the Dark Times by Ian Rankin, which is one of the last Rebus books. I read all the Rebus books years ago, and now I'm working my way back through all the Rebus books on an audio book, which I find really good. Great when I'm camping, listen to them. So I think this is like the second from the end. So, you know, I'm going to have to find another series of books to listen to. But anyway, I'm going to listen to that, and then I'm going to get my head down and get some kip. And I think with the sound of that out there, I should have a good night's kip tonight. So I will see you in the morning. See you in the morning. Well, good morning. That was a bit of a wild night. I had a great night's sleep, but at about 4 o'clock this morning, man, the wind got up. It wasn't forecast. It swung round when I pitched the tent. I put the arse end into the wind. There wasn't a lot of wind, but that was the direction it's coming from. But overnight, it spun round and it's hitting the door, which is not ideal, but the tent's solid. It's took it really well. But packing up this morning is going to be a bit of an epic, I think, because the wind is blowing from that direction, and that direction is a sheer cliff, so I am going to have to be really careful. I'm going to pack everything up inside first, and then it'll be leave the pegs in, take the poles out so the tent can't blow away, but I'm going to have to be really careful. But I'm going to take my time. I'm going to wait till the light comes up, which is about half an hour probably,
and I think what I'll do is I'll see you back at the van. So I'll see you there. Well, that's me all packed up and back at the van. It was a bit of an epic. It was very windy. You had to really think about what you were doing, or you'd have lost the tent over the cliff. So it's all done. I didn't get a chance to get a brew there because it was way too windy, but got one now. So I'm having a brew and finishing off the rest of those almond cakes that I had last night. But I thought this is probably an opportune time to have a wash up. So all in all, a fantastic camp, a really good spot. Although I really had to search for a flat area because it was pretty much the only flat area around here, because the church is built into a hill. Now, if you just want a day out, the church is well worth a visit. There's a car park and it's about a 10-15 minute walk on a track down to the church. So, you know, come out and have a look at the place. It's absolutely full of history, and there's a board on the wall tells you all about the history of the place as well. So I think it's a really good place to come and have a look round. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, leave me a thumbs up and a comment. And if you're not already subscribed, click the subscribe button. It all helps me get seen by the algorithm and spread the word out to more people. With that being said, I'll say ta-ra. Ta-ra.